Hi. Today I want to begin a mini-series on blocks to thinking. But we first should think about what is thinking. We'll call this protoepistemology. I know, a big word, right? Epistemology is the area of philosophy that asks the question, how do I know? This is the area that I specialize in, but I've become aware of the fact that we can't even pursue knowing unless we engage our thoughts, engage thinking. So I want to think about thinking right now. And in class, I've been joking about good thinking and bad thinking. But it's not that simple. It's not that clear cut. There are different ways of thinking that can be a hindrance to obtaining knowledge. So we're human beings. We need meaning. We want to know what is true, what is real, what is good. But in order to do that, we need to clear the road of blocks to thinking. So I made a list of good thinking and things that are not so good. Now, good thinking is just a way of making popular the idea that there is such a thing as right thinking. Logic, which I teach, is the art and science of right thinking. So notice there's a science to right thinking, meaning there's a knowledge about how to think, and there's a technique. Techne, art is techne. So we want to think well. I'm going to call this good thinking, just for fun. And good thinking is reason used well. It's logic used well. And the cause of good thinking is seeking. So we want to seek to know. We have to try, okay? But what is in contrast to good thinking? I don't want to just say bad thinking because there's other things too. For example, poor thinking, impoverished thinking, where we're doing it, but we aren't doing it very well. And this may be due to a lack of education, a lack of training. It could also be due to neglect. It just never occurred to us that we should try to think better. So poor thinking is impoverished thinking. This is something we can work on by getting a teacher. Okay, now I want to talk about bad thinking. Let's just say bad thinking is thinking false things. They're just not true. And what is the cause of bad thinking? Believing a lie. So we want to not believe lies because lies are untruths. They're unreality. And we want reality in philosophy. So believing a lie is bad thinking. So let's work on that. We need to test our beliefs to see if they're true. We may need a community of other thinkers to do that with. We may need a teacher. Okay, there's also non-thinking. What is non-thinking? I think this is maybe one of our biggest hindrances. This is when we're going by feeling or will without really thinking it through. We just do stuff without thinking about it. Or we go by our feelings. We let our feelings rule us rather than letting our reason rule us. What is the cause of this? What is the cause of non-thinking? I'm going to suggest perhaps apathy. Remember, no passion. And perhaps cynicism. Cynicism is no hope with regards to the possibility of knowledge. So we don't want to be stuck in cynicism. I know it's in the air that we breathe. Oh, nobody can really know. So I want to encourage you to think about that assumption. And get out of this mode of non-thinking. Turn on your mind. What about unthinking? Ooh, what is unthinking? We do things without thinking about it. And I'm going to suggest that this comes in several levels, and it's a human problem. An unthinking problem is a human problem. It's where we neglect or avoid or resist or deny reason in the face of what is clear to reason, and it's in our nature to use reason, but we don't. So we're either neglecting it, and that goes back to perhaps poor thinking. We avoid thinking. Perhaps this is why we have a lot of distractions. We're running away from thinking. We resist thinking, and this is where we use informal fallacies, which are pseudo-arguments, fake arguments. In place of real thinking, real reasoning, we use pseudo-reasoning, or maybe rationalizations. And then the denial of reason. I want to talk about this a little bit more. And what is the cause of this? It's a human problem. It's a moral evil in humans, where we are rational beings and we don't use reason as we ought to. And there's an ought implied because that's what we ought to do as human beings. If we don't, we harm ourselves and we harm others. And we like to think that that's wrong, right? To harm ourselves and others. Okay, this last level of bad thinking is anti-thinking. And I think there's a lot of anti-thinking going around right now. Think of it as anti-intellectualism, but it's deeper than that. It's where we deny reason and we deny the power of reason. And it may be that we want to say meaningless things, like being can come from non-being. I think anti-thinking, which is something that happened with Nietzsche, where he denied reason as ontological. He denied that reason applied to being. He denied that thinking was about being. I think this is a deep level of bad thinking, and it comes out of a hatred for being. So remember, I was trying to inspire a love of being. Sometimes we hate being, and we hate the origin of our being. And we want to reintegrate into non-being. We wish we were not. This is a kind of nihilism, a kind of ultimate meaninglessness. And I think this is rampant in our day, and we should think about it. I know, right? It always comes back to thinking about it. So I made a list, okay? We have good thinking, and then we have poor thinking, bad thinking, non-thinking, unthinking, and anti-thinking. These are things we need to battle against. So it's an uphill battle for us, but that's why you get a teacher. That's why I'm here. Now, I should also encourage you to like, subscribe, and share these videos because other people might need help thinking as well.